Hi, this is Davor from Derokki, and in this video, gonna start teaching RTL Webflow development. This is gonna be the first part of multiple videos, tutorial series, and the core teachings that are gonna be there is I'll share the principles of RTL web development. I'll introduce the RTL CSS system, RTLflow 2.0, which I recently launched for Webflow, and I'll also share how I built English-Arabic Webflow sites for the Middle East. Bit about my background, I run a Webflow development studio called Derokki, and we build websites for mid to enterprise clients. Mostly our clients are based in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Riyadh, and NEOM. And so I've been doing specifically that as a niche for over 2 years now. And so I believe that I have quite a bit of knowledge on this topic that I would like to share with people, because there's still lots of misconceptions, not so much knowledge about the topic on how to build with left to right and right to left languages in mind. And so the goal of this tutorial series is to just share our knowledge and hope that developers, from Arabic countries, from Israel, from Iran, everywhere where we have those right to left languages, that they will learn about RTL principles. And so, I think let's just get started, Another thing is I won't be really going into like editing mode. Yeah, I'll just record it free form, because otherwise it'll take ages for me to do it. I just want to record this in one go and share everything that I have. If you have any questions, feel free to email me anytime. There's going to be my website in the description. You can also comment down below. We'll probably make a QA at some point if there's enough questions. And yeah, I think let's just get started, okay? Let's get started. And so I have this nice little Iskali draw. And what we'll do is we'll go through the first lesson, which is going to be the RTL fundamentals. So the fundamentals. What is LTR and RTL? What's the difference, okay? We'll go to the Google Translator actually, and don't mind that this is in German, but it doesn't matter. So let's say we write, this is a text in English, okay? Just like this, okay? You'll see that the English is an LTR language. And LTR means it's going from the left to the right. You read and you write and you do everything left to right. However, we have a few languages in the world that are going from right to left. For example, Arabic, right? Like you read this from the right to the left side. Right? For example, if I translate to Swedish, that's still on the left side, but Arabic is from the other side. You have the same thing, for example, if you choose, let's say, if you choose Hebrew, it's the same thing. It's going from right to left. I think another language, for example, is Persian. There's Urdu, there's Kurdish. And so whenever we build those kind of websites where the language is actually right to left, we have to watch out for a few things. And that is, we have to look at it. We have to watch out for the layout. Okay. So I'll share this example of NEOM. All right. This is a NEOM website, and this is the English version. As you can see, it's all aligned to the left. And if we go to here, English, and we go to the Arabic version, you'll see now that the whole document structure has changed to go from right to left. So this means that a website layout, when we develop a website, we need to make sure people read it naturally based on their language. So when we build English-Arabic websites, we need to build layouts that can flip around, So it's a very interesting thing. And I think another thing I'll share here before we go into the Webflow part is if I go back to English and I'll open the console using F12. So F12, so you can open the console, and what you'll see is this, okay? So in the HTML tag, you're on the elements HTML tag. You have an attribute that's called direction. Dir is LTR. And so what this attribute does, it defines the direction of a website, okay? If I change this to Arabic, you can also see now that the direction is RTL, Okay, takes a bit to load, but you see the logo is now on the other side and it's like flowing in the other direction. Even the slider has changed. And so now the direction is RTL. And so essentially, based on the language of the page you're looking at, we define the direction of the document layout by using the dir-attribute. Okay, you have a reference here in the MDN web docs where you can read more detail about, but essentially that's kind of it, right? The default is LTR, so auto is basically LTR, and then you have, you know, RTL, for example, for Arabic. And so when it comes to Webflow, when you build websites in Webflow, before the launch of localization, and you have my previous videos where I talk about this topic, it was a bit difficult to set this attribute. Yeah, so it was a bit difficult to set this attribute because you didn't have access to the HTML tag at all, right? Like you had to do it with JavaScript. And then of course, if you wanted to build a multi-language website in Webflow, you had to put a third-party tool like Linguana and then translate through that third-party tool. It was a bit difficult, you know, and I built websites like that. However, now we had, in November of 2023, we had the launch of Webflow localization. So now inside of Webflow, we can manage multiple languages. And Webflow has done a very good thing here. What I'll do is I'll go here and I'll clone the RTLflow 2.0 style guide. You'll learn about it in a second. It's basically a CSS system I developed to manage multi-language websites that have left to right and right to left languages. So I'll clone this website, okay? I'll clone this website and let's go in here. Let's call it RTLflow tutorial video maybe. Let's do it like this, yeah? Let me get some water while we're at it. Nice. All right. So, whenever you build a website now in Webflow, let's say we want to build an English Arabic website, okay? You can go in here to the settings. It's the first thing you do. Go to localization, and then you choose your language, okay? Let's choose, for example, we can choose English as the main language, right? But now if you go in and we add another local, let's say we add Arabic as a secondary language. Now we save this. Now we have two languages. And up here you can now change the language. So if we change the language now, oh well, okay, 1 second. It's always the same. Let me show you this example properly. So I'll align the elements to the left, okay? I'll align those elements to the left. Let's see if everything is good. I will remove this. We don't want this, okay? And I'll remove this, okay? So now everything is aligned to the left, you see? Everything is aligned to the left. But if I go to Arabic, you can now see that everything is aligned to the right. So the document direction has changed. And let's just change the primary language to Arabic because I want to actually be able to show this on the live website with the attribute. Because Webflow has done a great thing. They've actually figured out a way to add the direction attribute automatically. So let's say Arabic is our main language, and let's publish this site. I'll publish this site now. Let's see. Sorry. Right. And now we click F12, and you can see that you have the direction automatically applied. So Webflow automatically applies the direction based on the language you choose inside of Webflow. And so that has, of course, helped a ton. And now it's much, much better to build those websites compared to before, where we had to plug in a third-party tool and then everything had to be custom code. It was a mess. It was very difficult. But this is much better. It's much better, you know. I appreciate the team at Webflow for thinking about this. It's a really good feature. So this is the example, you know. This is the very fundamental. So if you're building, let's actually do this. So let's say you build an Arabic website. You know, it's just Arabic, okay? You choose your local like this, okay? You can say, all right, I want to build a Hebrew website. Just save it like this, you know? This is the primary, the main locale, the main language, from which the secondary locales, so the other languages, get the content from. You can make an English or like a Hebrew English website, for example. You all manage it in localization, okay? So Hebrew is the main language, and then English is the secondary language. And again, you see the flip around. That's a good thing. Yeah, that's a fundamental. Like, if you understand this, you understand a good amount of this topic, right? Like, that's the very basis. If you can set the HTML direction based on a language, you have a big head start, okay? Now, you know, if you look at this example, like, I didn't have to do anything, right? Like, it automatically flipped, and it's a very simple example. But of course, you know, you would think, okay, that's it, right? There's a few challenges with this. You know, I've built websites of over 50 pages and made them multi-language, and so there's challenges with this, okay? I'll start with these 3 challenges. And so the first challenge is bidirectional layouting. We'll go to LinkedIn, and LinkedIn, out of all places, is gonna be a great example, actually, because what I'll do is I'll go and I'll make this Arabic, okay? Let's just make this Arabic, you know, because you can do it. You can go into the settings, and now let's change it. Tell you what, let's actually translate this first. I'm gonna translate this now to Arabic, and now we're gonna change direction, okay? And you can see this doesn't look perfect, right? You see the mistakes. You see how, for example, this text is aligned to the left. You see how the spacing is off here. Like, it's basically everywhere, right? Like, it doesn't look exactly great, right? There's just quite a few mistakes, and this is even with big websites, okay? What I've done is I just changed the direction of the document, but there's many things you have to fix. Many alignments, many spacings, and it's a problem. It's a problem because you have your main CSS style sheet for your main language, and then you have a secondary language like Arabic, which has to flip the layout around. Then you have to create another style sheet. You know, you have to write more code to fix the mistakes that you could have prevented by building a website in a bidirectional way, all right? Like this website, that's bidirectional. Even though it's simple, but I'll show you how to build complex websites in bidirectional way. I believe that any website you build, you can make it bidirectional, which means by changing the attribute, you can flip it all around. This is bidirectional, but you have to make it bidirectional. If you don't, it just gets more difficult, right? It's like you have to do more things. I'll show you another thing. It's not just about mirroring elements. You know, it's not about mirroring the whole thing. There's some stuff you have to consider, so-called RTL Design Considerations. Now, why do developers need to know about this? Let's say it like this. Me as a developer, as a web developer, what I usually receive is I have a web designer who gives me a web design that I should build in Webflow. And then I have an Arabic translator that just hands me the copy over from the Arabic. Now I have to combine the English layout with the Arabic text, you know. So when there's, you know, things you have to watch out for, you know, cultural things I have to watch out for in design. I need to know about those because the designer is not going to care. Most of the time, the designer is not building English and Arabic as a design. They just say to the developer, just flip it, right? There's a whole very nice guide here, and I recommend everybody to read this. This is from Ahmad, RTL Styling 101. I'm going to link it in the description. It's a guide on how to style for RTL and CSS. And it has lots of design considerations you have to watch out for. First thing, the font, right? Like you have an English font, you have an Arabic font, right? Those are different letters, different way of, you know, handling the font. You know, you have different letter spacings, for example. Like this wouldn't look good in Arabic. This would look a bit better, right? You have to watch out, for example, text transparency, which might look good in English and Arabic. It's going to be hard to read. You have to look at the sizes of words, right? For example, if you have an English word, done, and you translate it to Arabic, is a very short word suddenly. And so there's many small tweaks just with the font, right? You have to watch out for those things. Because if you don't watch out for those things, you have to go into the Arabic local, and then you have to create custom code and write custom code, right? Another thing I want to show you here is there's many things. Like there's a whole website on this, right? Like this is, I can show you all the stuff in here, but I'm going to show you just a few interesting examples. For example, with icons. Some icons you have to flip. For example, you have an arrow that's going left to right. Of course, on Arabic, you flip it to right or left. But then there's icons like the search icon, which you don't flip. Or you, for example, have like this MP3 player. Like this MP3 player, it's analog and it's going actually from right to left. But Spotify, for example, has the play icon from left to right, and the progress bar is also left to right, even though this is Arabic. And so there's these little design considerations, especially if you build those websites for enterprise clients, you have to watch out for these things, And it's just interesting to see how how you have to handle those, little small things. You have to also think about more complex topics. For example, sliders. Sliders are based off JavaScript, and so if you have a Webflow slider, it's going left to right. How do you flip it to go right to left? Do you want to rewrite the whole slide? Do you want to replace it? Do you want to hide the first and then show the second one? Like, you don't want that, right? If you have animations, you don't want to have one animation for one thing and then a second animation for the other thing. It gets difficult, right? You want this to be as simple as possible to organize, especially when you have a website with 10, 20, 50 pages. Now, those things you could do. I mean, technically you could do it with custom code, but I'll show you why it's not useful. It's not a good idea to do it in Webflow, okay? So I'll go in here again. We have English and Hebrew. Let's change this actually. Let's have this be Arabic again. All right, Arabic. Let's make this English. Okay. So I'll remove this now. And now you'll see what I'm talking about. Now you'll see the real deal. Why RTLflow, why the system, why I built it. It saved me weeks when I did my... actually, let me go back here. Sorry. It saved me lots of time when I first did create the system. All right, let's wait a second. Let's see what's going to happen. Webflow takes a bit of time to load. I don't know why it's a bit slow. All right, there we go. I still have internet, that's good. So let's delete this, okay? And I'll add in this component that I've built from Reloom library. Great tool. It's gonna be something coming for it as well. Right. Let me see in Arabic if this is... Okay, I have to kind of reset the localization. Okay, all right, good. So I'll show you an example now. Yeah. Okay. In this example, this is a very simple section, okay? There's no fancy designs, it looks very simple. You would think, you just build it and then you just go to Arabic and flip it. Here you have 7 rem of padding, because this is a grid with 2 halves of 50%, so I want to have a padding here. But then on tablet, I want the padding to be smaller, like 2 rem, and then I want this to be 0 rem, okay? And then I have this arrow as well. This arrow should actually flip around on Arabic, whereas this play button should not, okay? I'll show you the way people will do it right now, because if you don't have RTLflow, okay? Because you see this, right? You would think, okay, you go to Arabic and you just change the style. Well, you see how the padding is still on the right side, should be on the other side, right? And now I want to change it, I can't because styles are disabled in the secondary local. If you don't have an enterprise plan on your website, which is a couple grand a month for hosting only, and of course many security measures and stuff, it's of course a good deal, but for most websites, it's not what you want, right? You'll host your website on a $20, $30 plan a month. This is a problem. you can't change the CSS visually. Okay, you see the button, how it's not flipped? Not good. So what we can do is, of course, we can write custom code. So we can take the layout to underscore content, and we can go in here and we can write custom code. So let's do that. Let's write custom code. So it's dot layout to underscore element, I think. And then we open up those curly brackets, as you can see. And let's say, well, padding, we have to remove the padding right, which is going to be 0 rem in this case. And then we're going to re-edit back on the left by saying it's 7 rem. Let's see. Okay, maybe I did the name wrong. Oh, it's layout to underscore content. Did I write underscore content? Element, sorry. It's content, okay? Alright, so now I fixed this. But wait, here now we also have 7 rem, so we have to remove that too. So what I have to do now is I have to write a media query, and let me see, media query. I have to write a CSS media query actually, which is kind of, let's see. I always forget about this, so I just copy paste it. Sorry, media screen max width. There we go. Can I get the max width, please, somewhere here? There we go. So I need to use this. Okay, I need to reuse this, and let's go back into Webflow, and then I'm gonna add this in here. And then what I'll do is I'll use this in again. In 1 second. Right, okay. And now what I have done is I've addressed the change in padding on tablet, on the size of tablet and below. So we'll change the left padding to 2 rem. You can see now the padding is 2 rem, okay? And here I want this to be 0, okay? So what I'll do is I'll go in here and we'll just copy this again. And we'll say 767, okay? And we'll just remove it and set it to 0. Technically we don't need this, but I'll just leave it, doesn't matter. So now I've just fixed the padding, okay? Another thing I have to do is I have to flip this arrow around. And so, of course, I wouldn't target icon embed XX small because I might be using this on multiple other occasions on the website where I don't want to flip the icon. But just for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna use that class now. So we'll have to target icon embed, I think it's XX small. And then what you have to do is you have to write transform scale x minus 1. Like this, yeah? Okay, so now I've just written custom code to fix the layout, so it's bidirectional. So this is the English version, and this is the Arabic version, and this icon stays the same. And so you see how I've written how many lines of code? 20 lines of code. This took me 2 minutes, and I've just fixed up one section. Like this was kind of unnecessary, right? Like, like why would you want to do this? If you had 50 pages to do this, that would be pretty gross. It would be pretty bad. Tell you what, I'll remove this. I'll show you what RTLflow can do. Instead of this, what you want to do instead is, instead of having 7 padding like this, you want to go down here and you add padding inline end, and it's going to be 7 rem. And then here on tablet it's going to be 2 rem, and here it's going to be 0 rem. Also, I'm going to remove those 2, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a class RTL icon mirror. And now let's go to Arabic. This looks good, right? This looks good. That's the power of RTLflow. Because you go here, you have no custom code, and I just did those things in what, a couple of seconds. And that's the point. Like when you build a website that automatically flips around, then you don't have to write extra custom code. Right? We're not able to change the CSS on secondary locals visually, so we have to revert to custom code, which we want to avoid as much as possible. And by building a website in that way, we have such a good organization, and it makes the website scalable. It performs better, it looks better, it's faster, and that's what's required if you want to build websites at the top level. Okay, so essentially that is what RTLflow 2.0 does. It helps us solve those three problems, right? It helps us build bidirectional layouts. And what I've done is I've used client first. If you don't know client first, it's the industry standard for building websites in Webflow. It's basically a CSS system that helps you build organized websites. So RTLflow is built on top of that. You can use the client first tools, and then you get the tools of RTLflow to build RTL websites. And RTLflow addresses the RTL Design Considerations. You've seen how one arrow I flipped around, the other haven't. And what you also have, you have CSS attributes and secondary locals. And I'll show you another quick example. Let's go to Arabic. Let's say I want to hide a button. I believe it's, if you go RF display, I believe it's R display none. There we go. You can just hide elements like that, for example. I mean, you can technically also delete it here, but it makes much more sense to use an attribute because you can then bring it back. If you delete it here, you can't bring it back. So that's one way to do things, and you can you can do it with various other things, So just like an overview of what you can do with RTLflow, you have custom properties, so you can do bidirectional margins, paddings, texts, position alignments, borders, icons. You have the CSS attributes, okay? So I added various attributes that you can use, so you can change the heights, the width, the text alignment, display element, how you display elements, the flex boxes, grids, and the order of elements on secondary locals, visually again. You can build RTL sliders with RTLflow. I'm going to show you that also. You can change how the navbar menu opens up. And what I've also done is I've added JavaScript to make the whole website fully accessible. It's just a general overview. We'll dive deep into everything, And a few future projects that I have also is, they have been working on is automatic date conversion for certain regions. For example, the Arabic date format is a bit different. They have a different calendar, and so you want some kind of conversion using Webflow. What I'm also working on that is bidirectional IX2 Webflow animation. So if you have an animation that's coming from the left side on English, you want it to come from the right side on Arabic. So I'm working on an automated solution for that. There might also be the option to use CSS animations, and I think that's something I'll be working on also in the next couple of days. So you can build websites using, you can build CSS animations, that flip automatically based on the website direction. Another future project for RTLflow is it's going to be integrated with Reloom library. So there's going to be a way to take the Reloom components and they'll be automatically converted to be RTL friendly. It's either going to be a Webflow app or like a Chrome extension, probably a Chrome extension. So you can use the whole, the whole library of components of the Reloom library, and you can copy them into Webflow, and then the extension will automatically make the components RTL friendly. So you don't have to fix anything up. It's going to be really good, I think. And then the last thing, which I've started getting into that, is multi-language integration for web apps. So talking Bist and Xano, been testing it out, and it's interesting. It will be interesting to see how you can build web apps, English Arabic web apps, English Hebrew web apps, basically web apps that are multi-language, not just RTL related, but in general. It's another thing I'm looking at. And so these are just a few things that I've addressed here with RTLflow, with the Styleguide. And you can see here on the RTL elements page, I have written down everything that you can use, and we'll go through it in detail. Don't worry. It's just so you can see what's going on here. So yeah, that is actually it for the first tutorial. So let's recap, okay? So let's recap. What's the fundamentals? The fundamental is you have, when you build RTL websites, there's a difference between left to right and right to left languages, right? English is written and read left to right. Arabic is written and read right to left. So when you build websites with, languages of different direction, the layout of a website needs to adjust for it. We've seen the NEOM example. With Webflow now it's possible. It wasn't possible natively pre-localization, but now it's very much possible. And there's 3 challenges that we're solving here. And that's what RTLflow 2.0, the style guide that you can clone for free. You can use it anytime. You can ask me any questions about it. I'll be happy to help. And RTLflow 2.0 solves those 3 big challenges of RTL Web Dev, which is bidirectional layouting, which is addressing RTL Design Considerations. And again, we're going to dive so deep into it. It's going to be very interesting. And also, it solves the problem of doing Webflow CSS on secondary locals, at least the big parts, to make it as visual and easy to use as possible. Because we're also looking at making this easy for people who are not developers, right? Like, if I tell you, you go to Arabic, if you want to hide something, you can just use the attribute here. It's pretty good. Like, even someone who doesn't know how to code is going to be able to use it. And so that's a very, very big advantage. And so, to recap, RTLflow 2.0 is the system, the CSS system that we're going to use. And it's going to be used for teaching you how to develop RTL websites in Webflow. And so we're going to dive deeper into it in the next couple of lessons. But yeah, let me just pull up the Styleguide quickly. So this is my website, of course, and so here's the Styleguide. There we go. So I'll share the link in the description below as well. Let's see, it takes a bit to load always. It's just the way it is. Let's see. But you can get a free Webflow account. You can clone the Styleguide, and you can play around, with building website inside of it. You can see how it works. Again, it's all explained on the RTLflow elements page, what you have to do. You also have like a very basic guide here. So if you want to just get ahead and try it out yourself, you can do it. For the other people who don't want to rush themselves, it's going to be multiple tutorials coming out. I think for the basic, let's say, course, because this is kind of like a free course that I'm doing here, it's probably going to be around 6 or 7 basic lessons, and then we're going to do more. Dive into more specifics, some specific questions. We're going to build complete websites from scratch as well. Here is where you can clone, by the way. You just click on here and then you can clone the Styleguide. Yeah, it's all on this here. I see. We're gonna have the Styleguide overview. We're gonna check out the layout elements, how to mirror elements, directional visibility, flex, grid, float, clear, unset, how you can manipulate all those things basically. CSS on secondary locals with attributes or custom code. Then the RTLflow attributes, the Webflow side, we have an attribute that can automatically flip the Webflow native slider to be right to left. It's very cool. I've been using this on quite a few projects. And then we're going to rebuild that stuff. And so I have lots of content around here. You can see it here as well. We're going to rebuild a few websites. Here's a few technical deep dives and future updates. So if there's anything specific you want me to address, let me know in the comments or just message me. Twitter, LinkedIn, email, whatever. Because then I'm going to prioritize those videos and do them first. And yeah, again, I hope this video was helpful. Clone the Styleguide, try to work with it. We're gonna have more videos coming up, and yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you around.